What up? This is Finance, Fitness, and Folk, the channel where we discuss finance, a little bit of fitness, talk about some folk. So today's episode, I'm going to explain the 3 elements to direct service connection. So of course, it's dealing with VA disability compensation. So before I get started, thank you everyone for subscribing to my channel. If you are subscribed, thanks for liking the video, thanks for commenting, really appreciate it. If you don't mind, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you like the content. I try to push videos out as much as I can throughout the week. And as of right now, currently, which is April of 2023, I'm pushing out a lot of VA disability compensation or just VA disability content. It doesn't have to be compensation. So I'm going to push out as many videos as possible when it comes to this topic. And I hope it educates you, hope it gives you some leverage to better yourselves when it comes to filing for your claim. Because like I said in the previous video, VA compensation is not welfare. It is definitely owed to you if you meet the criteria to receive compensation, but it's not charity either. So just make sure that whatever you file, that you actually have the proof and hopefully the documentation to back that proof up to the VA, because the VA does not play when it comes to evaluating you and making sure that you deserve your compensation. So that rolls right into my topic. So like I said, the 3 elements for direct service connection. So direct service connection. So basically what that means is the VA recognizes that this particular ailment or disability was caused by military service, meaning that you had this issue come up while you was actually active duty. So the 3 elements are, do you have a current diagnosis? So that could mean that you was diagnosed while you was in. It could be that you was diagnosed when you actually got out and was evaluated by either a military doctor or some type of VA doctor, right? But that's very key, because you have to have a current diagnosis for you to have direct service connection. Number 2 is it documented, meaning that is there some type of medical documentation that states you actually have this ailment or this disability. Now, the 2 I just mentioned go kind of hand in hand, because in order for you to have a current diagnosis, you would think you would need to have documentation. Well, that's not necessarily true. So a current diagnosis could basically mean that you just saw a physician and the physician said, okay, well, you was diagnosed with, I determined that you have this particular ailment or disability. But that's not necessarily, necessary maybe that doctor actually would document it. And you would think that the doctor would, but you have to make sure that happens, because sometimes you can have some current diagnosis or a previous diagnosis that was never documented in your medical records. It happens all the time with veterans. A veteran will say that, oh, this doctor told me that I had this, or I had that. And then the VA rep will go through the medical record and be like, even though the doctors, even though you're saying the doctor told you had this, I don't see it in your medical record. What do you mean you don't see it in my medical record? It's not there. So also, that kind of goes into you need to receive your claims folder. And I made a previous video about that, so after this video, go to that particular video and you'll see what I mean by as far as getting your claims folder or C-file. And then the 3rd element is a nexus statement, or some type of nexus in general, meaning that you have to have something that connects your diagnosis and your documentation to military service. Now, a nexus could be a medical letter from your doctor explicitly saying that this particular ailment or disability is directly connected to your military service. Or you can have buddy letters, or you can have a personal letter that you draw up yourself to send to the VA, explaining to them why you believe that you have this particular issue and why you believe it was caused by military service. I will say that a nexus letter from a medical professional definitely holds a lot more weight than the other 2, but it can be expensive. one unfortunate thing that I have seen since I've been out is that a lot of medical doctors are very leery when it comes to creating medical letters for the VA. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe it could be a liability issue. You have physicians that are very busy, and time is money, so they don't want to go through the process of actually drawing a letter up for you. Not putting words in anybody's mouth. I'm just saying these are some of the issues that I've seen personally since I've been out. I've seen situations to where the service member drew up the Nexus letter themselves, gave it to the physician. The physician still refused to review it and or sign off on it. Personally, I believe it's a liability issue for them, but I'm not exactly sure. But then you have these agencies out here that tell you that they have military physicians on deck that will draw up Nexus letters for you, but it comes with a fee. I've seen some folks that actually charge as much as $3,000 to have a Nexus letter drawn up. Now, what I will say is, you get what you pay for, right? So the thing is there's no real guarantee that this physician that drew this Nexus letter up to try to connect what you have to military service, doesn't guarantee that the VA rep is going to actually recognize that letter and say that, hey, I know this physician drew this letter up and he or she is telling us that what you have was caused by military service, but we don't believe it. So we're going to have our doctors evaluate you via a C&P exam, which I'll go over in another video, and we're going to have our doctors determine if you had this ailment caused by military service. I've seen it happen before too. So I'm not giving any advice. This is not a advisory channel when it comes to VA compensation, but what I will say is that in my personal opinion, I would suggest you exhaust all avenues of approach when it comes to these three direct service connection elements, because paying a doctor for a letter kind of defeats the purpose of getting compensation, right? There's agencies where they'll have physicians on deck to draw these letters up, and then you'll pay the money for the letter. Let's say you get the compensation, and then there's a contract you sign where it says, well, depending on what kind of percentage you receive, we're going to take this amount of money every month for a whole year, 6 months or whatever, until you meet the requirements of our contract. So not only do you pay a couple $1,000s for the Nexus letter, but you could be paying a couple more thousand over a course of a certain time before they actually say, hey, we're done with you. Like I said, there's no guarantee that these agencies will actually get you the compensation. And I'm not going to discourage anybody not to go to these things. I'm not talking anything bad about them, because what I will say is that I have seen in my opinion, almost a 90% success rate when it comes to these folks going through these agencies. But you're spending money, so it's one of those things like you have to weigh the cost with what you're willing to do. I know for myself, I didn't spend any money when it came to compensation. There was some frustration for certain things that I filed for. And, at one point I was like, man, I really need to have somebody help me with this, because I'm not understanding what the VA wants. I'm really not getting it. And then I had to do more research. I did more of a deep dive until I got the answers I needed. I did the work myself the third time I filed, and I got the 100%. So, like I said, it's not an advisory channel when it comes to that. I'm just saying that weigh the cost when it comes to spending money on something that you could probably do for free, right? So once again, the three elements to direct service connection is, do you have a current diagnosis? Is it documented in your medical records? And do you have some type of nexus that connects that particular ailment or disability to your military service, okay? If you don't meet those three elements, you will not receive direct service connection. And you have to have all three, at least in the VA, from the VA standpoint. If you have one missing, there's a very good chance that you're going to be denied your compensation. So I hope that this video helped somebody out there when it came to trying to direct service connect something that that was causing military service. This goes back to folks that are watching this channel right now, this video, and you're still in the military, go to sick call, y'all. Get this stuff documented. Make sure that when you actually go to sick call that you go back to your medical record and make sure that it was documented properly. There's so many things that happened to me when I was deployed that did not make it because I didn't go to a conventional sick call or TMC. There was a physician that was on deck with the unit and they saw me, but the documentation was not created for whatever reason. It was a deployed environment. I mean, I wasn't thinking about it. It was not that big of an issue at the time. But once I retired and I started filing my claim, and I'm sitting here thinking back, like, okay, what happened to me when I was over here and over there, and it wasn't there. And I'm like, so and so didn't put it in my medical record, or it didn't make it to my medical record because my medical jacket didn't go with me to these deployed places. So I should have got a copy of it. So, but that's a hit on me. Just make sure you go back and check these things and make sure that this stuff is on your medical record if you're still in. If you're out now, if you're a veteran, get your C-file, get your claims folder, and start looking through that stuff. All right. Anyways, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm gonna push these videos out to give you leverage to better yourselves. Finance, Fitness, and Folk. Triple F. I'm gone.